Hi, welcome to the training on SOF updates for number porting. My name is Agus Rahman. I am a senior customer engineering architect based out of Sydney, Australia, and I am part of the Skype customer experience and deployment team. If you have been watching the SOF training series thus far, I would expect for you to be familiar with SOF already. For those joining for the first time, you can get further information about SOF from skypeoperationsframework.com. SOF is a living framework, and we continue to work on updating the assets and delivering new offers. Your feedback drives the update to SOF, and please use our feedback channels listed here to share your thoughts and ideas. This is April 2017 version of this training. Due to the ever-changing nature of Skype for Business Online and SOF, I would like to point out that things may have changed upon watching this training. For most recent up-to-date trainings, go to skypeoperationsframework.com/academy. We also have the SOF community as part of developing the multifaceted approach to SOF. We'd love to hear from you on how you are applying SOF to your projects and share lessons learned from the field. Let's get to the training on SOF updates for number porting. This training is intended to provide you with information on what has been updated in SOF to include number porting as part of a plan, deliver, and operate journey toward customer success with Skype for Business Online. This training will highlight specific updates in SOF that will help you identify organizations' requirements for number porting and plan for it. The reason we are doing this training is for you to be able to clearly articulate the impact of number porting as part of the SOF journey that the organization you are working with is taking. With the recent addition of auto attendance and call queues capabilities in Skype for Business Online, the need for number porting typically would increase in addition to the standard number porting for subscriber numbers or PSTN conferencing dial-in numbers. Given the external variables affecting the execution and completion of number porting, setting the right expectation and making reasonable project timelines are very important key success factors to avoid or prevent dissatisfaction from the organization that you're working with when implementing Cloud PBX and Cloud PSTN conferencing. Especially for organizations that have never gone through number porting experience in the past, as they may mistakenly attribute number porting duration or constraints only against Skype Business Online, while it is in fact an industry-wide challenge. This training is delivered with the assumption that you have thorough understanding of SOF, all the phases, activities, and assets. If not, I would strongly recommend you to take the previous SOF trainings available through Skype Academy so that you can relate to what will be discussed later on. There are no specific technical trainings for number porting as it is mostly process related. I would strongly recommend you to get familiar with number portability policies established by the local telecommunications regulatory bodies such as FCC in the US or Ofcom in the UK. The expected outcome of this training is for you to be able to incorporate the planning for number porting as part of the SOF journey through the phases in related activities and leverage the assets that have been updated for number porting. Let's talk about number porting briefly in the context of SOFjourney. Before talking about number porting, first we need to establish a level set of understanding on how telephone numbers can be provided for Cloud PBX implementation. Cloud PBX with on-premises PSTN connectivity, both via Cloud Connector and via pool, will use existing telephone numbers from the trunks provided by telecom provider. For Cloud PBX with PSTN calling service, organizations have options to acquire new telephone numbers or port existing telephone number assuming they meet the requirements. Note that from Skype Operations Online point of view, there are distinctions between subscriber or user number and service number, be that the toll number or the toll-free number. As the name implies, subscriber numbers are assigned to end users, while service numbers are assigned to call routing solution, such as auto attendance and call queues, and also to dedicated PSTN conferencing dial-in service. Listed here, some generic number porting constraints applicable to all markets where PSTN calling service is available. But I would recommend for you to check whether there are specific constraints applicable only to specific market where the organization is operating at. So for example, in the UK, you cannot port non-geographic and shared cost telephone numbers. Recently, we added the list of service providers that are supported for number porting to Skype Operations Online. So please refer to the list while working out the plan for number porting. On to number porting. A couple of things to know as listed here. Regulation differs from one country to the other, and some markets may only allow full port and disallow partial port. There are a lot of moving parts with multiple parties involved. No one has full end-to-end control. Porting timelines generally has been defined by in-market regulator, but oftentimes not followed rigorously, and carriers may define their own timeline. Couple of challenges with number porting that we have to deal with. While it's good to know the established number portability policy from local regulatory body, some port types, such as complex ports, are not regulated and therefore at the expense of carrier-to-carrier agreements regarding the timeline. The level of enforcement and influence from the regulator also varies, making determination of number porting SLAs and dispute resolution challenging, thus requiring organizations to set direct expectation from the beginning. Telephone number fragmentation is restricted and not even allowed in some markets, forcing customers to perform full port and migrate to the new service right away. Before I continue, please keep in mind that these challenges are industry-wide challenge, is not solely affecting number porting to Skype Operations Online. Some additional challenges due to vested interest by the incumbent carriers, such as delaying or rejecting ports for minor issues, missing defined SLAs, and making their own call for porting complexity and thus influence its SLA. To expedite ports outside of the process, customers must escalate directly to the current carrier. General SLA for processing and schedule number porting is around 7 to 14 days, but it can take up to or even more than 30 days in some rare cases. Once scheduled, typically port activation completes within 2 hours. Provided here an example of port order exceptions in the US. For the purpose of setting the right expectation related to the impact of telephone number porting to project timeline, use this example on how order exception can impact telephone number porting SLAs. Order exception, order resubmission, dispute handling, and the final order resubmission, all of them can easily add up, and in the example here, it takes 17 days to get the port order scheduled. This is a standard process in the US and applicable to any port from one provider to another. Personally, I've worked with a customer that went through the additional processing time due to exception process, and finally the port order was rejected. 1 month delay to the project was incurred just to get to the point that the port order was rejected by the current carrier. Upon review of the letter of authorization, customer realized that they put in the wrong billing telephone number there. Once corrected, it took 2 weeks for the port order completed. And the moral of the story here is to avoid going through order exceptions at all costs. To do this, you need to make sure that the letter of the authorization is completed using the right and correct information. Phew, I hope the information that I shared previously is helpful. With the introduction to number porting out of the way, let's talk about the changes in plan phase assets. The recent update with regard to number porting is meant to elevate and raise awareness on how number porting can greatly influence your project timeline. For that, number porting has been added as critical project risk as an example in the efficient scope and execution plan to remind you of its impact to the project timeline. The slides containing number porting topic we recently gone through together have been added to the Envisioning Architecture workshop deck to help facilitate the discussion on number porting. It is important for me to reiterate that the challenges with number porting is not unique to Skype Operations Online. So please drive home that message and set the right expectation from the organization that you are working with. When it comes to detailed planning, additional slides have been added to discuss number porting option with regards to full port versus partial port, which is currently only applicable in the US, and the porting of user subscriber numbers and service numbers. In most markets, number fragmentation is not allowed. Thus, full port is the only available option. In the US, organizations have the option to choose to perform full port and partial port. Full port will port all numbers associated with a contract or subscription to a single number type in Skype Operations Online. Typically, all numbers are ported as subscriber numbers. Porting of subscriber number and service number from a single contract or subscription must be performed as two separate events. Some of the numbers ported as subscriber numbers can be changed to service number by raising support ticket in Skype Operations Online. Currently, this will actually be treated as another partial port request on the back end with a shorter port scheduling and activation timeline. Partial port is typically useful to test or pilot number porting and validate letter of authorization is in the right shape. Or it can support the requirement to port some of the phone numbers as subscriber numbers and some as service numbers. With the recent release of auto attendance, typically the office mainline number will need to be ported as service number to support auto attendance. However, the mainline number is typically the billing telephone number or BTN of the contract or subscription. So it must be ported the last after all of the subscriber numbers are ported to Skype for Business Online. There are two options to handle this requirement. Option 1, perform full port of all phone numbers as subscriber numbers, and then raise the support ticket to convert some of the subscriber numbers to service numbers. During the conversion process, the in-flight numbers are inaccessible, so a downtime will be incurred to the services depending on service number, such as auto attendance of the office mainline number. The advantage of this option is that existing contract or subscription with the telecom provider can be ended as soon as the port is completed. Option 2 is to perform partial port of all subscriber numbers first, and after it is completed, raise another partial port request to port the remaining phone numbers as service numbers. Only by then, existing contract or subscription with the telecom provider can be ended, prolonging the time the organization needs to incur the charges from the existing telecom provider. The advantage of this option is that downtime to services relying on service number, such as auto attendance, can be minimized, but of course, during the transition period, additional changes will need to be done on the existing auto attendance solution, such as redirecting operators to external numbers already hosted in Skype for Business Online and modifying directory to forward calls to existing extension listed in the legacy PBX to external numbers hosted in the Skype for Business Online. By walking through the options with the project team and weighing the pros and cons, project team can make an informed decision on which option to take in order to roll out or migrate a site to Cloud PBX that involves number porting. Moving on, let's talk about the changes in deliver phase assets. None. There's no update that has been made to the deliver phase assets for number porting. If you review all existing delivery phase assets, you can find that number porting is already there. What's important now would be to set the right project timeline to the tasks related to number porting so they are reasonably timed based on the decision that has been made in the plan phase. To sum up, through this training, I hope now you understand the update to SOF to support number porting as part of the solution for Cloud PBX implementation or migration. The update centered on plan phase, whereby this is the important phase as it provides the opportunity to set the right expectation regarding project timelines. Based on your understanding of number porting types and types of phone numbers in Skype Operations Online and how the two work together, you should have full understanding on how to plan and reorder number porting activities to meet technical and organizational requirements and assist the organization that you are working with to make the right decisions related to their number porting requirements. From the perspective of SOF plan, deliver, operate, through this training, you should have the level of understanding on how to plan number porting as part of a SOF journey. These are the resources that you can take advantage of to strengthen your understanding of SOF, keep up to date with what's happening with SOF, and last but not least, keep yourself up to date with everything you need to know about number porting. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time.